What's up, Zach? 217. Let's do it.
What's that?
Episode 217.
Oh, I thought that was your hopeful marathon time. That's fast.
Man. Yeah, what was my PR? 3:12:12? Something like that. I still don't know how I did it, but
speaking of that, why do you think you're having some issues years into this? Yeah, with your foot.
I don't know, man. I think it was the wrong shoes standing around too long. I tweaked something outside of running.
I think Mr. Rogers, in changing of his shoes all the time, he must have had foot issues. You know, he'd come inside, he'd change his shoes. Maybe he'd change his outfit. I don't know. I found that when I go from like certain shoe, you know, like a Hoka.
It's like producer James, right? He comes in, changes his shoes.
Does he?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this.
Well, today's guest might have some insight on that. I don't know, but
you guys know each other?
We've met at a few events downtown at the Assembly Building, and connected on the Instagram.
Oh,
keep in touch there. Also, monitor his YouTube channel that he's pushing content out, man. So, Lionel, great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
Man, just first, is this your first podcast?
God.
No, I've done a few. This may be like my fifth, possibly.
Why is this becoming your question, Tim? Like, come on.
I don't, because I love your reaction. It's just totally for your reaction.
You knew that wasn't true.
That's just a popular question that we started talking about.
No,
a little more,
we did not start talking about it.
Well,
no, Tim started talking about it because he thinks that
topic.
every one of our guests.
He
thinks every one of our guests this is their first podcast. I'm like, that's not true. It's not even close. And then 2 weeks in a row it happened, and he's like, "Oh, this is it." No,
last week was the first timer with Andrew.
It was.
Yeah,
I guess it was.
But
it's hard for me to recall these things in sequence sometimes.
200 episodes. That's a lot.
Yeah, but man, you look at stuff like Jason Calacanis with 2,000 and Rogan with 2,000. I mean, like, man. And they don't even. Well, I guess we do ours once a week. I don't know how many times a week Rogan goes. I don't pay that close attention.
There is no frequency. He just releases when he wants to.
Yeah. But yeah, they've been at it for a minute. Right. How do you feel about
some of those people are doing, you know, if you would do a daily show, well, okay, so that's 360.
Jason started once a week, and then he was up to 5 a week. He scaled back down a little bit since then. But
one thing that I recall, like when I was doing my other shows, is I'd do like a week and I'd release it whenever, and then I'd figure out, oh, okay, maybe I should release it on a certain time. And I was like, oh, I like where we're going. Hey, there's a plane on my house today. That's unique. That's normally you. That sounds like a big plane too. Damn.
Must be getting ready for the rally tomorrow.
Oh boy. Can't talk about those things on this show. This is a that show. So I went to like double, and then I was like, oh, I'll do it 3 times. And I mean, like, it was just too much. It's just constantly trying to schedule. Like, it just becomes much. So I appreciate that we do Thursdays, 11 o'clock every time. And it's also a marketing thing, right? We're like, oh, tune in here. But yeah, frequency is.
Yeah.
It can be trouble.
Lionel, how did you make the conscious decision to become like a content creator and pushing stuff out?
It was very random. There was one day that I just randomly got the idea, let me shoot a YouTube video, tell my story. It was after I found out that I was hired starting for the startup that I work for. And I'm a big YouTube guy. I live on YouTube pretty much watching videos, and I've seen so many people tell their story that I figured I would just give my shot at it. And then it ended up getting like 15,000 views, I think it's at now, or 14K. And so then that's when I decided, okay, maybe I can actually do this and set a challenge to do one video a day.
How are you doing with that challenge? Are you still doing one a day?
I've died down I did that for
That's a
30
lot.
days. Yeah, I did it for 30 days. The plan was to just always shoot a video. It's pretty easy for me because I don't edit at all. I just pretty much hit record and then talk.
Yeah.
But still, as far as like redundancy, you know, I started running out of stuff to talk about. So I split it up to I try to do at least 2 videos a week. If on a good one, I'll possibly do 3. But
what's the duration and typical topic that you talk about? Just so and what's your handle so that our listeners can check you out?
It's Lionel the Builder, is it's spelled BLDR, and the topic are centered around tech, either breaking into tech, how to, or learning how to code. I do a lot of live coding. Sometimes I go live and I'll play chess while watching or listening to a tech video. So I do a lot of reactions to popular YouTubers as well. I noticed that for some reason, those are my best performing videos. I guess people like to watch somebody watching a videos, you know?
Yeah, I watch chef reactions. It's you ever watch that, Zach?
Is that the channel? Chef Reactions? The guy, black hair,
glasses, always wears a baseball hat. Yeah.
Yeah, it adds to the content.
What go ahead, Zach.
Well, redundancy is interesting because even like when I wrote my latest book, I'm like reading through it and I'm like, did I already tell this story? I think I did. And then I'm like, yeah, like
I thought you had a good idea, Zach. Like Zach would just get on. Back in the day, there was this thing called Facebook Live or something like that. But you would just jump on. Yeah, you would just jump on and just read a chapter. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's finding stuff to talk about can be difficult, and thinking like, are people going to care about this? And can you, as you're creating, you know, a piece of content, a piece of media, you have to treat it as like, okay, like someone is scrolling, someone is clicking, think of it as their remote control. And there's like, are they feeling like I'm a commercial? Because if I'm a commercial, they're scrolling, and that's not going to be good. So it's creating like useful content, I think, is very difficult, or meaningful, like viewable content is difficult, especially like when there's movies that are like 3 hours long. You're like, are they going to hold me the whole time?
It's funny how through shooting every day and trying different things, you really do learn what people want to see. At least in my niche or my following, I have learned that they don't necessarily want to work or learn on YouTube. When I try to do like deep dives into coding, say like a JavaScript, how to write React components or something like that, the views aren't necessarily there. The retention isn't really there as much. But if I just do storytelling, just talking about my experiences with something, then people will watch that entire video, which is very interesting to me because me just talking about it is just completely entertainment, and to me, not as valuable as me actually showing how to build something, showing how to work within the tech. But like they say, you know, sometimes it's not about what you think is valuable as the creator, it's about what the audience likes. But then it's a trade-off to me, because, you know, do I really just want to be a storytelling TV show where I'm just entertaining in that way, or, you know, do I want to put out something that I feel like people could use, but then if the people aren't using it, you know, if the views, I would say, are probably like 25% less, or even, you know, more so than that. Like me doing a tutorial, maybe 200 views, me telling a story, maybe 1,000.
How close do you pay attention to those numbers and the metrics? And like, answer that first.
I always say that it's not about the numbers, but I always pay attention to the numbers.
Yeah. Like, and I guess like the second part of that is you go on live. Are you totally comfortable? Are you paying attention to how many people are watching live, or do you just not pay attention and just keep on going?
At first I don't. I purposely don't at first, and I try to talk as if there's at least 15 people in there. And then eventually I'll look at the chat after usually like 15 minutes. I'll look and it may be like 6 to 8 to 10. And then depending on what I'm doing, I try not to watch, especially if the numbers start going down, I try not to pay attention to it. But then again, talking to the chat, once that gets rolling, usually that's when it's the best, is when the chat is engaged and I am, looking at and making an effort to have it more entertaining. I kind of let them take control from there, and they'll ask a question and then I'll go search up a YouTube video that we're talking about that has something. It becomes like a hangout session. And when I ignore that completely, is when the views usually go down, and then next thing you know, it's like 3 people in there watching me play chess.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. I mean, I bring it up just in sense of like, I'm sure Zach, you're the same boat, but when I run into people and they're like, man, I don't know, I don't know if I could do a podcast, or I don't know if I could get in front of a camera and talk and yada, 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 it's just like, just hearing it from your mouth as far as how you break it down. Yeah, it's good for people to hear it from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a interesting thing, to be a content creator. Something that I didn't really plan, kind of fell into, and I feel like I do have a talent for that, or people tell me that as well. People who are in the industry, and we talk about numbers and stuff, they say that like I really do have something going and I should continue with it, So I guess I'm in it for the long run now. I'm a content creator.
Okay, there you go. So I feel like I read this story somewhere. Did you used to be a truck driver or something?
Mm-hmm.
And then you decided I don't want any of that anymore? And
yeah, that was one of my questions. I want to hear that story, the backstory.
Yeah. So before, I usually start with right before I was a truck driver. For my 20s, I was a freelancer with photography and video. That's pretty much how I made my living. I was always a self-taught YouTube tutorial kind of guy. One day I got a camera on Craigslist and just started shooting pictures. But then in 2016, I had my son. And so I never really made it as a freelancer to where my business was booming, to where I felt like that was going to be a comfortable way to raise a family. So I honestly thought I was doing the right thing by kind of hanging up my starving artist fun life, and I said, okay, I'm going to become a truck driver. And this is it. I really considered myself retired from art and was just going to drive that route every day. And,
So it was a local route?
Yep. It was local, cookout, same route every day, 12 hours a day, driving produce to the stores for a cookout. They have fresh, they don't freeze their meat. So they have to hire truck drivers to go to the stores every single day. It's a constant rotation. So I was doing that for 3 years. And then I started to feel just trapped and depressed and unfulfilled, and I listened to all the music I could listen to all the podcasts I could listen to, and I just could not imagine, no offense to truck drivers, shout out to truck drivers out there, but I could not imagine myself doing that for the rest of my life, the way that I thought I would be fine, no customers, just out there driving every day. I thought that it would work out, but I started to feel like I was dying in that truck every single day. So luckily for me, I found this YouTube community called 100 Devs, which was started by a guy who went to Yale and he's a developer, and he started this community with the idea of helping 100 people get hired in tech, and I think it's grown to 100,000. And he has spawned plenty of developers like myself and YouTube content creators in this space. Whenever I mention 100 devs, 9 times out of 10 they have heard of them. And then he always says, when you graduate, the only thing that he asks is that you help 3 people get hired. And so I said I was going to do better. I'm going to become a content creator and help 100 as well. So that's pretty much how, one of the reasons that I started shooting videos as well.
Where are you with your 100? Any idea?
I think I'm at about 5 that have actually gotten hired from my community. But I have a Discord with about 150 people, a school.com with about 130, and a meetup.com with, I think we're at 80 for the meetup. Yep, and it's all people learning how to code. There's 3 people. Different.
Make sure you share all those events with us, man. We'll get those posted on the Innovate site, and I think that our meetup group, I don't know, it just passed like 3,000 or something like that. But
oh, nice.
Yeah, share that stuff. And for all the people listening,
or do you have a different one?
No, well, there's 2. There's one that you started, and there's one that we started, or that I started, and yeah, I'll have to look at what those numbers are, man. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Do you like meetup.com?
I do.
I think that it's a great, dude. I think that it's a way underutilized platform.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's helpful. We just did an event at Assembly, and I promoted it there, and on just between there and Eventbrite, we had over 100 people show up to our first event for this hackathon that we're planning in October.
Yeah. So Zach, 757 Business on Meetup. That is across 3,600 members, and Hampton Roads Entrepreneurship. That group is at 551.
What'd you call it? 757 what?
It's 757. Yeah, 757 Business.
I think that's the one I started.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great platform. I think when people first move into town, or if they get a new hobby, they go to Meetup and they search.
100%.
They join and they look and see what's going on.
Yeah, I always make it a point, like when I see a new face at an event, or if I'm hosting an event, hey, how'd you find out about it? And I'm always amazed at how many people are like, Meetup. It's a solid platform.
Well, it was definitely, I remember back in the day, it was definitely something that we used. Obviously, if we only 4,000 people, but like, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that in forever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah. So
are you thinking most of these people are local that you're trying to work with, or how's that look?
It's a mixture, probably close to 50-50, honestly. All of the Meetup people for sure are local, but my community, due to the YouTube, comes from all over. People join the Discord every day, and most likely they're not in the 757 when they come from the Discord. I've had people ask me, what does 757 mean? Because it's Digital Builder 757. I never thought about that. I'd have to explain that, but yeah, I get people from all over. Mm-hmm. Because of YouTube, I get people from all over.
Man, you do anything on Reddit?
No, I don't. But I have seen that my videos get shared there. A lot of time, my highest performing videos, because in YouTube analytics, you can see where the traffic is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
In Reddit's always up there, but I've never found the Reddit forum that has me in there, though.
Interesting.
It's probably deep in there.
Dude, James shared that article that I wrote on Reddit, and James is like, just don't, dude. It's nasty in there. I mean, it's sharp elbows, man. He's like, don't even go in there. Don't even read comments, man. He's like, we're doing.
Wait. The one like your letter to
Yeah.
the region thing. He
Yeah.
posted on Reddit. What channel?
On his account. And yeah, and all the accounts are anonymous, so I don't know what his handle is because it's all something crazy. But I think that he shared it
Is
on
it on a
the
subreddit?
he shared it on the Hampton Roads subreddit. And
people were hating on
man.
him.
But I mean, so it's one of those, yeah, dude. It was, and I you know, of course, when someone tells you not to look, you know, the first thing you have to do is look. But
man, I wish there was a way for me to search and find. I'm sure I'm probably getting roasted. You know, I've had a couple negative comments before on my videos.
Who cares?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, my thing is, I mean,
You don't
it's
think
just
people
like,
crap on Taylor Swift? She's doing
Right.
pretty well. You know?
right.
Yeah.
Do you
But
think your
hey,
name
you
would be
know,
on this thing?
I have no idea. I'm not sure how James shared it, and I mean, it's all good. So you just want people to get talking, and people can say whatever they want to say, man. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's just to get people talking is really, you know, I stand behind everything that I put in there. But
I had somebody ask me a very hard to answer question, and I knew whatever I said, he was gonna just fry me. There was
Yeah.
no winning from this question, but he said, "Give me one fact that lets you know that tech is not dead and that the jobs are coming back." I was like, "Oh man!" Like I sat and thought about it for like an hour, and then said a joke response, and he just went crazy.
Well,
on
I
me.
mean, certainly, yeah, and that's a tough question on the spot kind of thing. But I mean, if you look at in terms of what is the federal government's solution to try? I mean, like we're adding $1 trillion to our national debt every 100 days, you know, and like tech is really going to be one of the only things that are going to build our way out of this thing, man, because it can scale unlike anything else, man. I mean, so I guess from that standpoint, but do that on a spot question like that's tough.
I wanted to say, you know, I believe, but you know, you can't answer a question like that when he says, "Give me a fact." You can't say, "I believe." But I wanted to say, isn't this working on a cycle? You know, hasn't tech never died before? Like, because it's still here to this, and it's tech, it's technology.
Well, I mean, yeah, we would all be farmers in the field harvesting crops or getting ready for the harvest if tech didn't, you know, help with the tractor, and it elevates everyone's game.
Yeah, I just feel like it's never died before, but there's a huge, and I think this may be fear mongering or something there, but there's a huge wave of those videos on YouTube where they're saying that tech is dead. They're saying that AI is stealing everyone's job. There's no point in learning how to code. There's a whole bunch of fear mongering, I would call it.
Yeah.
Fear farming. And I think that people, when they're trying to learn how to code, it's such a tough thing that they look for a way out. You know, they want to go back to retail or, you know, something to tell them that they're wasting their time, and because it's a difficult thing. So I didn't want to say all that to that guy, but that's what I was thinking, that's where he was coming from.
We all have opinions, and that's what makes America great. And we're allowed to have those opinions, whether we agree with them or not. And, you know, some people are donkeys, some people aren't. Hey, enjoy being a jackass. You know, it's fun. I'm a firm believer that if you don't have people talking crap about you, you're not doing it right yet. And until you got there.
Well, I mean, and it goes back to like, I think like the best quote that David Goggins has ever said, man, is you'll never find a hater doing better than you. So there you go, man.
Good line.
True. Yeah.
David Goggins. But you know what's funny? That dude is ridiculous. Like, he is absolutely, like, what he does, no one should do. But he's a crazy, crazy, crazy man. Like, he don't even have a heart. I don't think. He has like half a knee.
An android.
Hell, he might be an android. You know, just say to yourself, stay hard.
Yeah.
My favorite David Goggins story, I think, is when is he doing pull-ups? Maybe I haven't watched a lot of David Goggins content in a while, but I think he's doing
pretty
pull-ups.
quiet.
Yeah, well, he's a fireman now or something.
Oh yeah, he's out there, doing the wildfires, man. Dude, dropping out and like,
wow. Book 1 was way better than book 2, but so I think he's like doing pull-ups or something's trying to
nickels
break,
and dimes.
No, he's like trying to break a record or something. He's he's doing the pull-ups. I think he's listening just to the Rocky song the entire time for like
on
12
repeat.
days straight. Yeah, like damn, that's crazy. But
dude,
his 40% thing is great though. You know, when you think you've hit 40%, you're not even, or when you think you hit that line, you're only 40% of like your max capacity. I felt that when I did that 50K in December. Like I hit that this sucks real early, way earlier than I was anticipating. I knew it was going to suck. I didn't expect it to start sucking at like mile 10 because I had done more than that, but it was warm that day. But whatever, like it is good to consume content like that though. Just realize that you're not him.
Right.
And it's going to be hard. But content's interesting. I think it's, look, people are jealous. People are going to, you know, they're just going to type. Right. It's, you have to have a thick skin if you're going to be in this game.
Definitely.
And if you're not willing to have that and expect the most ridiculous things possible, then you probably shouldn't start, because it will happen and it will happen quickly. You know, it's just like, okay.
I've had people say, because there was one video I did where I was reacting to a reaction. I called it reacception. I'm like, hey, let me add another dimension to this. You know, it's be more entertaining. It didn't, you know, of course, 10 comments were good, but it's the one bad one that sticks out. And this guy said, oh, so you're just leeching. I was like, oh, man, am I just leeching? Should I stop doing this? Is this not fair for me to be reacting to a reaction?
You're leeching the leech, bro. You're watching it. So who won?
Right.
Hey, what was the title to that story that you're talking about, Tim? I want to find this Reddit.
Man, you're committed. Why Hampton Roads hasn't reached its potential, something like that.
Okay, got it. Well,
it's actually a dog on a bone.
I love to see bad comments. Like, it's hilarious. You read some of these things and you're just like, what is this person talking about? Man. Like it's comical sometimes, where like you can really be in the know, and how there's so many outsiders. Like as close to a factual statement as possible, and then someone's stuff is completely opposite, and you're like, that couldn't be further from the truth. But that's like what all these comments are, and you're just like, this is hilarious because it's really not true. It's not even close to being true. I can't think of an example, but it's basically like when people are like, I don't even know an example, but it's just like, oh, the restaurant is closed at 6. No, it's not. It's closed at 6.
Well, I mean, like for me, it's one of those things. Like I love like all the reporters talking about like full self-driving from the Tesla standpoint. And it's like, you've never even been in a Tesla, let alone experience full self-driving. And yet you're reporting to however many people are viewing your articles or videos about it. And yet you've never even experienced it before. You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's crazy.
From the creator's perspective, would you recommend replying to those comments? Because I think for engagement, sometimes maybe I should just go ahead and argue with them, you know, and see what happens.
Yeah. So if you were like a business client of mine and someone is bagging you on a review or something, I would say like politely trying to figure out, like, reply in a very polite kind of way, but then take it offline if possible.
Take it offline,
because you don't want to get into it. You know, you don't want to be that donkey yourself, right? And so kill them with kindness type of thing, right? And find a way to maybe passively aggressively kill them with kindness, but not hurt yourself, right?
Like thank them. Basically thank them.
Well, that is wonderful to hear. Thank you.
That is a beautiful perspective. I really thank you for enlightening.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Man,
did he delete this link? Because I am not finding it.
I don't know, man.
This is beyond disappointing at this point. Oh, 16 comments. Here we go.
We don't have to talk about it on the show.
Did you read them?
No, I saw like one or two. Oh yeah, James had to stay away, and James was stirring the pot purposely with some of this stuff, man. And I take the Joe Rogan point of view where like he's like, dude, don't even pay attention to it. So I'm not even looking to.
Well, I'm not. Yeah,
because some people just don't want to be. Some people just don't want to be happy.
Well, I think most people don't want to be happy, and they want everyone to be miserable. So it's just like you're a moron.
Yeah, some miserable person, miserable looking at your content, and they're just gonna spread, how they feel as much as they can.
So we have some show notes that we asked people to fill out, and you had mentioned that you had worked for a celebrity. How has that? Did that prep you for your time in the spotlight, so to speak? Because I mean,
do we know who this is?
Not yet.
Don't say who. Okay, can we have a trivia game? Can you give us some clues? Can we guess? Can we make this fun?
Well, it's a musical artist from Virginia, from Hampton Roads. And yeah, in 2016, I ended up spending a brief time as his assistant while he was
him.
Oh,
yeah, I remember this guy. Yep. Does it start with a D?
Yes, it does. Wow. That's pretty much it right there. Yep, it was pretty random. I knew him since before he blew up over here since I was freelancing as a artist in with photography and videography. I knew the producer who made his song that blew up, and then I moved to LA and ended up running a art gallery there for a little bit. Helped them out a couple times while they were in town. Let them stay at my place and like picked them up from the airport. And then his road manager, offered me a job with them after seeing that I was there and they knew me, reliable guy kind of thing. And ended up working for them after that.
Yeah, because I think that like the whole I really like the how the two compare. I mean, like the music industry and entrepreneurship, athletics and entrepreneurship, and like from a music industry standpoint, I mean, like you got a crowd. If you have to perform in the crowd, I mean, if you're the opening act, and no one's paying attention, there's nobody there, you gotta perform like it's a packed house and you got the crowd into the palm of your hands, man. And not everybody can do that. And so like running a startup is very similar in the sense of, you got to put your best foot forward every time because you never know who's going to watch. And I just find that fascinating.
Right. I never thought about it. Yeah, I never thought about it, but I do think that may have spending so much time in that space in the studio, watching them do their thing and just being around artists all the time.
Is it drum?
Yep.
Is it drum?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got it. So yeah, that spending all that time around them may have prepped me to not only believe that I could do it, and just get over that. What is it? Stage fright or something, and one of those just do it kind of things and see what happens, and just believing that I can, I think a lot of the thoughts that stop people from doing that may have been worked out of me from spending so much time around artists.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole imposter syndrome thing, I think is really interesting as well. Just especially if you get attention too fast. Like you got to put your reps in. Like I mean, like you see one of the things about like I like all kinds of music, and one of the things that I find really really interesting is like on the country music side, they've got that kind of down. You start as a writer, you write a few songs, then you move into performing. You have to start on the bar scene, and then from there you might get lucky to be like the opener, the first opener where no one is, and then you do that, then the second opener, and like dude, they put you through that process, you know, and it's just, it's really, really interesting. And you can tell some people that get too big too fast, and their stage presence isn't there. They're not really comfortable. So it's just, it's interesting for me to watch and pay attention to. But bringing that back around to like imposter syndrome, it's just like, gosh, you can really be up there, or you're like, why does anyone care about anything that I have to say? Yeah, and you know, so like just getting up there and having that confidence, or at least making it look as if you're confident. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. And startup founders, I feel the same way. At least I see that with the different founders that I talk to.
Right. Yep, I used to do spoken word poetry too back in the day. And I think that may be another thing that helped. I'm like, man, when I'm just, you know, freestyling in my videos, sometimes I feel myself tapping into my poetry days on stage. And I think that it is a relatable skill that it has transferred over to that, and maybe gives me a little bit of an edge. And I watch people's videos, and I could kind of spot what it is that, you know, even if their information is better than mine, or if they have more accolades as a software developer than I do, but they may not have gotten the performance aspect of YouTuber, you know, part as locked in and as crafted as it should be. You know, I think that everything matters. Like your tone of voice matters, talking with your hands probably matters, facial expression probably matters. Like, you know, there's so many different things that can make a video less entertaining or more captivating. And most of those things come down to performance and come down to art related stuff more so than information.
I agree. I mean, it's just, even with taking it back to pitching. I mean, pitching is a performance. I mean, whether people want to realize it or not, it's about the performance. It's about the charisma that you have when you're delivering that message. And it's like some founders, you just want to say, "Hey, man, Gail, you're not the face of this company. You know, it's just, you might be brilliant, but you shouldn't be the face."
Especially if it's going to hold you back and you have something good, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've told this story here, I believe, but it was Chris Makut. It was, was it Chris Makut? I think it was, when he was at GM Engineering Services, Notaris, and he got up and he spoke as a CTO. And I'm like, you're speaking way too much in jargon. No one understands what you're talking about. You're talking too long, and you're losing the crowd. And you can't have that. It's not that you're not talented. It's not that you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. But in this situation, your ask in this thing, whether that's new business, investment, whatever it might be, you know, a like on Facebook, people are snoring, and you're not going to get the return that you're looking for because your performance is lackluster to the room. So read the room. Don't lose the crowd. It's an art. It's definitely an art. You know, I always tell people, if you have 5 minutes, go for 3. If you have 3, go for 90 seconds. If you have 90 seconds, go for 30 seconds, right? Be precise. But people want to be like, oh, I have all this time, I got to do it. I got to fill it. It's like, why?
Right.
If you can do it in 30, why not do it in 30 instead of 90?
Yeah.
Man, that's a shame to think that there's probably plenty of companies out there who have, you know, hit a roadblock, hit that being the roadblock, that having the wrong person on stage.
The loudest companies are usually the most successful because they can articulate that.
And the flip side of that is you can't have a hired gun either. I mean, like,
sure, it can't
some
just
people,
be nobody.
Well, I've it's been a minute, but I mean, I've talked to founders and they're like, well, I'll just hire someone to do my pitch for me. It's like, you can't do that. Yeah. I mean, like, that just, once investors or whoever your audience is catches wind of that, you know, I mean, it's just like you lose all credibility at that point.
Right. So it's a balancing
Unless they
act.
become like a president of the company, but they have to have skin in the game. You can't just have an actor, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
My pitch man.
Oh. So
what
there's this thing called Digital Builder 757. What's that?
Digital Builders 757 is basically what my freelance company has transformed into. So I have a bit of a team that has built from my subscribers and people who have found me on YouTube, but we've teamed up to work on projects together, give them a place to kind of help usher them into tech. We work on open source projects together ourselves. We do a bit of everything: social media management, website development, software development. And yeah, you can see at the site digitalbuilder757.com the type of projects that we are building. We're going to have the portfolio section completed by the end of this week, but the site itself is an example of the type of websites that we can build. And it's me and my most trusted members of the community, our Discord, who I've pretty much met most of them from the YouTube channel, basically, and just being in the tech space. We got people in there who have been coding for 10 years. Plus, we've also have people who are literally just starting, and we have people who have been working for maybe 3 years or so. So a full range of people are in the Discord, but the top builders of the group are working with me on projects and clients that I'm getting through freelancing as well.
What I think sense community is huge, but like within that community, are you focused on younger folks that want to get into tech? What's your demographic that you're targeting?
I would say about like fresh out of high school to like 35. The younger folks, some of them are still in college, all the way up to people trying to do exactly what I did and make a career transition in their 30s. Surprisingly, or I guess it shouldn't be surprisingly, I'm getting a lot of truck drivers, who are ready to be saying like, man, I feel like I'm just smarter than this, man. And I could do something more than this, and I know exactly how they feel. And I know exactly, with all that time, I tell them like, here, man, start listening to these videos. You've got nothing but time, and you're trapped in a capsule for 12 hours. You can learn a lot if you put your mind to it.
YouTube University.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
What is there a specific vertical within tech that you focus on? Like you said, website. Is there a flavor of platform that you're focused on, or dig in a little bit?
We do React websites in Next.js, usually because you can do everything there as far as the front end and the back end. Pretty much anything that we need to do, we've been able to accomplish between Next.js, React, and Firebase, which is Google Cloud Platform's free backend service. And well, it's free until you get like 100,000 users or something like that. It's free in the beginning. And most of our clients so far have been small businesses, so nothing too crazy. We haven't had to build anything like too complex. Small businesses usually just need maybe 3 pages or something like that, and which works perfectly for our community, because that's literally the first thing that you learn when you're learning how to code, is how to get at least a 1 page up, but we do also have some WordPress guys in there as well who, with WordPress, that's pretty much what it's made for as well. So that's our lane, is usually small business, 1 to 3 page websites that don't need much of a back end or complexity in there.
What, like, in terms of what do you see? I see you around at more and more events. You're getting more and more involved. What things do you think that the area the Hampton Roads area still needs that we need to do differently to, I guess,
So
make us more competitive?
I'm a huge fan of Atlanta. That's my second home. I go there all the time because my dad lives there. And I went to this conference there called
Oh
Render
yeah, I
AT.
do remember seeing this on your Insta stories.
It
What
was
was it
so
called?
awesome. It's called Render
Uh-huh.
Atlanta. And the guy who created it, I listened to him speak at the end, and he's a guy just like me. I think it was 4 years ago. His first one that he did had 300 people. The next year had 1,500. The next year had 3,000. And then this past one was just every company was there, everyone was there. And I bring that up because I would say something like that is what we are missing. And that's why me with the digital builders and my team, we started this thing called the Blackathon, which we're trying to bring that here. Our kickoff was Juneteenth, due to the name being a little bit, controversial. And the story behind it is that I went to a hackathon, which pretty much changed my life. It helped me get the connections and the experience to break into tech. But I was one of maybe 3 Black people that were, there wasn't a lot of diversity there. And I would say that that is what this area is missing, in my roundabout way of answering that question. We started it because while it was an amazing experience, there was a lot of the culture aspects missing. And me having an artist background, I saw, like, with us only having like Pop Tarts and like no music, it kind of felt like we were coding in airport security. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of our events in this area kind of have that airport security vibe, where there's just, you could always add a DJ. You could always add paint, live painting or art. You could always add costumes, cosplay, add a theater element. And I think that adding that culture on top of our events would really help draw in more younger people. There's a saying that I've been using a lot: hiding the broccoli amongst the cake. I think that if our area did that more often with events, just try and make every single event more appealing to culture. What really gets people together and gets people excited. And then you could sprinkle in some information on top. Sprinkle in a panel, and then sprinkle in whatever you really want to do there, but make sure that you put the fun first. And I think that's one thing that this area is missing. And be with the digital builders and what we're trying to create events like that in the tech space, in this breaking in the tech space.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's I agree with you, and like it just seems like a lot of the events they're all the same. So and then like so then no one really there's not a lot of support at different events because it's like, well, if I miss this one, I'm not going to really miss anything because they're all kind of the same and it's all the same kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always, I don't know, man. It's just you go to something and there's your veggie tray and your fruit tray platter, and yeah, it's just like and that's just
Right. But you go to Miami, we
yeah.
all go out of town. They've got fire, they got people breathing fire and all sorts of stuff at the random restaurant. It's like, man, you go to a restaurant and you see somebody belly dancing and blowing fire. Like, there's so many different things that we can do to spice things up and to,
Yeah,
make it more exciting here.
it's a chicken. To some degree, there might be a chicken and the egg thing. It's like that stuff. It takes money and resources. Yeah, and so it's like you got to generate some revenue in order to do those kind of things. But or you need to find some people that are willing to take a chance to help grow something. But I think that looking forward to more opportunities to collaborate to do something cool because I'm with you, man. I think that we need to make it more of a spectacle to bring people in to want to experience it, and then make sure it's a great experience, because the landscape has changed. Zach and I started doing events 10, 11, 12 years ago, and it's just, the audience has changed.
14, but who's counting?
Yeah. It's different now. I mean, it's amazing to me. Like, back in the day, there might have been several kegs consumed at an event over the course of a weekend.
Yeah, so like I'm thinking of like okay, you finish your thing.
Sorry. Well, and now it's like, we're like, all right, we got 150 people RSVP'd, not everyone's is a drinker, but like, it's just amazing, like that, like the drinking aspect. Normally it used to be pizza and beer, and you'll get founders for days, and that's just not the case anymore. So things have changed in that regard.
But what's interesting to me as you're talking about, what potentially is missing. So like when I started Start Norfolk, I feel like it was a fun event.
Yeah.
And that was the first like build a company in a weekend competition in the area. And we did five of them. Thousands of people showed up over them. And at the end of the day, like I love to retire things when I feel like they've hit kind of their plateau as well. But at the same time, like they were a break-even thing, if that. And maybe that's changed. But at some point, like I'm sure Render Atlanta did not cost a small amount of money, right? And so they have to be able to supply, someone has to be able to supply that to, there has to be sponsors to do it. And the person who's organizing it, or the people who are organizing it, have to be paid for it, right? They have to be getting a salary for this, or else at some point it's just not like they can't be doing all this work. Like I'm thinking about starting, or like even just that weekend, I was there for 40 hours,
like,
right?
Historically, this area does not support conferences. Like it just,
like I would beg people for $1,500. I'm like, can you give me $1,500? And so I know this event is going to cost me $50. And so like, let me put this a different way. A lot of people say we would never get a big time stadium because there is like a football stadium, let's say, because there's not enough corporate sponsors to be able to supply those kind of VIP suite
boxes,
the boxes, right? So in that same vein, there's only a couple of companies that you can go to and ask to do something like, hey, I want to put on this event. I want to do this because I always want to do like a startup week, like a week-long type of thing. Like we had some pretty good momentum, from 12 to 15, I feel like in that space for that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, like you can't be making money off of this. Like I'm not saying like millions of dollars. I'm just saying like a little bit, to not be like sitting there going, okay, this is taking a lot of time. How am I going to be able to support this without the capital back on it? And then, you want to do some other pieces of it. It gets expensive and you don't have the support. And then you're trying to keep the tickets low, but you have to put a ticket price on there because if you don't, people won't show and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not trying to make excuses.
It's hard.
I'm just saying that these things are hard.
Definitely.
And if you don't have a legit budget for something like this and you can't get close to that number reached in some sort of revenue, it's hard.
I went out of pocket and in the red on our first event. I wanted to charge because it's actually our third event, but I didn't put any branding on the first two, which were pretty much proof of concept. The build weekend was the first one where we tested out that idea to see if startup founders want to have fun, at events and still be entertained. And it went great. And then we did the spring social with 757 collab. We had a live band there and a DJ there, and that went great. But neither one of these things had the digital builders on them at all. So the Blackathon was our first one stepping out on our own. And because of that, I tried to get sponsors, which I have zero experience doing that. I'm more visionary, creative side. So I feel like I may need to take a class on that as well, or talk to somebody to help me. We did make a pitch deck, but I need to get better at the whole.
You have to do all those things. So like Start Norfolk 3, there was 300 people there. Tim, were you at that one? That was the first one you went to? The food alone was $27,000.
See, I didn't have food. We had to cut. Something had to go. So
Well,
we didn't
they're
even
there
have
for the
food.
but yeah. So maybe I shouldn't have done that, right? But because of the venue, we'll give you the venue for free. But it's like maybe it was starting off for 2. Maybe it was, I don't remember which one it was. But that's a crap ton of money. Like,
yep. But the reception was great. People had a blast. And people were saying, so I got 100 people in the room to talk about tech, where most of them were what we call tech curious, people who aren't necessarily working in tech yet, but are looking to transition into there. So there's nothing like it. Everyone was saying that too, that man, there's nothing like this. Thank you. Like the talking was around the room was going great. So we're really trying to figure out the next step. We're thinking about, because we have a hackathon in October and we're doing bi-weekly classes teaching the skills that you're going to need to participate in the hackathon. And so we're thinking maybe we charge a ticket fee on these bi-weekly classes, use that as a fundraiser for the main event. Or maybe we have one of these socials every month, but which like you said, it's a whole lot of work and it's expensive work. So we would definitely need to charge the tickets, at least something just to break even possibly. So it's a very but is that the reason why this area doesn't have this lot of stuff? Because there's not a lot of people like us going through the pains to bring it to fruition, to make it happen?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I said, like Zach, you tried doing a conference. Other people have tried doing conferences. It's just for some reason, like there's this, it's a really tough, it's a tough road around here. And I don't know why.
I thought we were ready for that conference too. Like all of the surveying and everything, it said, hey, like we have a proven record. Like this is the next step.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I think that there is it's a cultural shift that has to happen, because like if you're in like other places where the startup scene is much more prominent, like pick a law firm, pick a bank, pick something, they see the value of like, hey, I'm going to be in front of a couple hundred startup founders. And if I get one customer, then I just hit my return on investment, so they're smart from a numbers point. Whereas like here, it's a much, much harder sell to get those dollars so that you can do something. And because like, I know from my point of view, man, I want to make it as free as possible for founders to show up. I just want to make so like $5-10 just so they do show up, because to Zach's earlier point, you spend all this money on food and drink, and then if people don't show up, then it's just like, then you take it to a shelter or the fire station or something like that, and it's just like you just hate, you don't want to waste all that resource. But I think that let's discuss, man, like what we can do in the future. I think it takes a lot of collaboration to try to make things happen, because it's hard for one organization to try to make it work.
Right. And a lot of my friends who, since we've been doing this art thing for a while in the area, I have a network of between, I don't know if you guys know about Social Supply. I know Tim does, but between Social Supply, Kello, and Portsmouth, me and Kello had the conversation where he was saying he was going to move to Atlanta, but then he was like, now I can't though, because it's up to us. Like we really feel like it's up to us to help our home, Hampton Roads, which we love. We've all moved away and then came back for whatever reason. This area keeps drawing us back, and it's like if anyone's gonna do it for our younger generation, it has to be us to go through to figure it out. Whatever we have to do to figure it out, and to come together to bring all of our resources and all of our followings together to do something great for this area. And we really think that we can do it. We think we have enough connections and enough people at the top or whatever to throw our own something in the water even. But it's going to take a lot of problem solving, a lot of strategy, a lot of long talks, a lot of, you know, arguments, even probably. It's just, we're just gonna have to put in the David Goggins pain, put in the pain to try and make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we, amongst ourselves, we are the solution. And for too long, we've been waiting for someone else to be that solution. And I can tell you, fighting the fight for as long as Zach and I have, there is no other solution out there. It's all of us that have to join together to become that solution.
Yeah, we could probably take all of your past 200 guests, get them in one room, in one Zoom call, one huge Zoom call, and throw our own conference, drawing all of our resources. Like, yeah, we're really gonna have to form Voltron on this. But I think if we did, maybe then a conference, we could do a crazy
I think that
conference.
would be, yeah, I mean, that would be super dope, man. You know, we have a little something, have dropping off goodies into the crowd, or, you know, whatever the case is, man. I mean, like, we could do something. Yeah, it's just, but we all just, it's going to take all of us.
Yep.
Awesome. What do you want to close with, Zach? Which way do you want to go? Is there something you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? When you came back to the region, what was the first restaurant you went to because you missed it so much?
When I came back, what was my first? But like, I'm huge into Indian food, and have Nawab. Nawab is my spot. Yeah, on Hilltop. They have another one by Military. Saffron's good too, but Nawab is my spot. And surprisingly, over in LA, it was very hit or miss. Yeah, it was hit or miss, with which you wouldn't, you know, LA's like known for the food and the restaurants, and I was living in downtown. But yep, that would be the one.
Another first. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Lionel, we appreciate it, and keep building.
Yeah, man. Let's do something. Let's keep the conversation rolling. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. This was awesome.